The proper orientation for a duplex receptacle is with the ground pin facing down. This is a common question, and while it might seem like a minor detail, there are reasons why ground down is generally preferred. Firstly, from a safety perspective, if a metallic object were to fall onto a partially unplugged plug, having the ground pin at the bottom means the object is more likely to contact the ground conductor first. The ground conductor is designed to provide a low resistance path back to the source, causing a circuit breaker to trip and interrupting the flow of electricity. This can help prevent electrical shock. Secondly, some electricians believe that having the ground pin down can help prevent dust and debris from accumulating in the receptacle. While this might not be a significant factor in all environments, it can be a consideration in dusty or dirty locations. There is no specific requirement in the National Electrical Code, NEC, mandating that the ground pin must be oriented downwards. The NEC primarily focuses on the safety and performance of electrical installations, and it does not typically dictate specific orientations of devices unless there is a clear safety reason. However, in practice, many electricians and electrical contractors adhere to the ground down orientation as a standard practice. This helps maintain consistency and makes it easier to identify the ground pin in all receptacles. Furthermore, having the ground pin down can be particularly beneficial when using power strips or surge protectors. Many power strips have polarized plugs, with one blade wider than the other. This ensures that the hot and neutral conductors are connected to the correct terminals in the receptacle. When the ground pin is down, it can be easier to align the polarized plug with the power strip, reducing the risk of incorrect connections. Additionally, from an aesthetic point of view, many people find that having all the receptacles in a consistent orientation creates a cleaner and more professional look. While this is a subjective factor, it can be a consideration for some homeowners and designers. There are situations where the ground-up orientation might be used, for instance, if there are physical constraints that prevent the receptacle from being installed with the ground down. In such cases, it is important to ensure that the receptacle is properly wired and that all safety requirements are met. It is also worth noting that some countries have different standards for receptacle orientation. In some regions, the ground pin might be located at the top or on the side of the receptacle. When working with electrical systems in different countries, it is essential to familiarize yourself with the local regulations and standards. When installing or replacing a receptacle, it is crucial to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety guidelines. This includes using the correct wiring methods, ensuring that the receptacle is properly grounded, and testing the installation to verify that it is working correctly. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is always best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Working with electricity can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. When selecting a receptacle, there are several factors to consider. These include the amperage rating, the voltage rating, and the type of wiring connections. It is important to choose a receptacle that is appropriate for the intended application and that meets all applicable safety standards. The amperage rating of a receptacle indicates the maximum amount of current the receptacle can safely handle. It is important to choose a receptacle with an amperage rating that is equal to or greater than the circuit breaker or fuse that protects the circuit. This will help prevent the receptacle from overheating or becoming damaged. The voltage rating of a receptacle indicates the maximum voltage that the receptacle can safely handle. In most residential applications, receptacles are rated for 125 volts. However, in some commercial or industrial applications, receptacles may be rated for 250 volts or higher. It is important to choose a receptacle with a voltage rating that is appropriate for the intended application. There are several different types of wiring connections that can be used with receptacles. These include screw terminals, push-in terminals, and wire leads. Screw terminals are the most common type of wiring connection and are generally considered to be the most reliable. Push-in terminals are easier to use but may not be as reliable as screw terminals. Wire leads are typically used with receptacles that are pre-wired. When wiring a receptacle, it is important to follow all applicable electrical codes and safety guidelines. This includes using the correct wiring methods, ensuring that the receptacle is properly grounded, and testing the installation to verify that it is working correctly. The NEC provides detailed information on the proper wiring methods for receptacles. This includes information on the size and type of conductors that should be used, as well as the proper methods for making connections. It is important to follow these guidelines to ensure that the installation is safe and reliable. Grounding is an essential part of any electrical installation. The grounding system provides a low resistance path back to the source, which helps to protect against electrical shock. When wiring a receptacle, it is important to connect the grounding conductor to the grounding terminal on the receptacle. This will ensure that the receptacle is properly grounded. Testing is an important step in the installation process. After wiring a receptacle, it is important to test the installation to verify that it is working correctly. This can be done using a receptacle tester. A receptacle tester will check for common wiring errors such as reverse polarity, open ground, and hot neutral reversals. If any wiring errors are detected, it is important to correct them before using the receptacle. In summary, while the NEC doesn't mandate ground down orientation, it is a widely accepted best practice for safety and consistency. It minimizes the risk of shorts from falling objects, helps with polarized plug alignment, and contributes to a more uniform appearance. Always adhere to local electrical codes and safety guidelines when working with electrical installations. If you're unsure, consult a qualified electrician.